I am resident of Collinwood, Joel Sains for YouTube. That's my buddy Butch Rosenbalm. That's my buddy Gordon Dymowski. We're here to discuss the 1972 movie, The Mechanic, starring Charles Bronson, Jan Michael Vincent. Charles Bronson's wife, Jill Ireland, is in this movie. Great movie. Really very, very underrated. Probably, in my opinion, one of Charles Bronson's most underrated movies. So, guys, when did you first see Charles Bronson's The Mechanic? Butch?
Somewhere in the early 80s, and I'm not going to lie, it made me, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, it made me want to grow up and be a hitman. Because it just, being an early teenager, I didn't realize the popping of the pills and the panic attack. You know, I didn't think about it. It's just like, look at this really cool house that this guy's got, and look at all this cool, interesting stuff he's doing.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that. Gordon, when did you first see this?
I first saw it this afternoon.
Nice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I thought it was okay. Nice little mood piece.
Yeah. So Bronson, for those who have never seen this movie, plays a hitman, or as they call it in this movie, a mechanic. This movie, along with the James Bond franchise, helped inspire the popular video game series Hitman, especially more so with this movie, the opening scene. And the way Bronson's character lays out his assignments. That's sort of how they get laid out in Hitman in a lot of way. Really interesting because he gets assigned it by an outfit from, and they send him these pictures, and then he puts it how he's going to do it. And then they call him and say, okay, go ahead, it's on, which is really interesting. What did you think of that style, Butch?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played Hitman. I didn't really remember that, but it's a professional. I mean, that's what he is, and I don't know why they didn't call it the Mafia. It wasn't. I mean, it's like we didn't realize who he was working for, but they, like you said, they sent him a pack, and he has this little hidden board that he hits this 1972 remote control in the door slide, and he puts everything up, and I think that's the first time you ever saw a scene like that in a film, and seems like a lot of other movies have copied that. Here's all of our information. Here's what we're going to, here's what we're going to do, and it lists, where they are, their height, their weight, medical information, and whatnot. It's again, to me, it's what a professional would do.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Gordon?
Well, I like the introductory scene of the movie because it lets you know precisely what you're going in for. Like, it's not telling you, oh, this is going to be a slam bang nonstop action movie. It's very deliberate. It's almost no dialogue. And when you get to when you finally realize what's happening, you kind of go, okay, now I know what I'm in for. Because this is a movie that it takes its time to go from point A to point B and then action sequence. Point A to, it's as much a character study as it is about assassinations.
Yeah.
16 minutes. The film opens with 16 minutes of no dialogue, at least by the characters. We hear a radio playing and there's a guy talking. And Gordon's right. The thing I really like about this film is, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll see movies and it's like, well, this movie is running a little slow, or it's going too fast. You see films, you're like I remember the most recent Mad Max film. There was a point where I had to pause. I'm like, just calm down for a minute, okay? But this film I feel like does a really good job of getting from point A to point B, does it entertainingly, tells you enough information, and moves well. And I can't say that for a lot of films. There's a lot of films that I feel like I say, and I'm like, well, you could have had better pacing, could have had better this, could have had better that.
Yeah, when you consider that the same director, not only I think it's Michael Winner, his name.
So yeah,
Not only did he do Death Wish, but he would later on do Death Wish 3 and 4 for canon, where he just lost the lessons right there, because like these are very deliberate, very. He knows that when you use violence, you use it to shock, and this helps. But when that works for canon later on, he's very sadistic, and it's all about let's just throw and throw and throw. I mean, if you want more information, there's a great documentary, and you could probably find it on YouTube as an unofficial upload called Electric Boogaloo about canon films. But yeah, this film, you can tell he's like, okay, the violence is there, but you have the calm because the violence then is shocking. It's a little bit more in your face.
This is the this is the second of 6 films that Winter and Bronson did together, starting with Chato's Land and this Stone Killer, and then the first 3 Death Wishes. And Gordon's exactly right. I think he still does it in the original Death Wish. It's been a long time since I saw it, but when it happens, it's like it's almost kind of repulsive. We're not supposed to like it. And one of the I feel like the biggest disappointment for Charles Bronson's career is he became only known for Death Wish. And because didn't he do 6 of them? I think it seems like. I mean, maybe that's a joke. I've just misremembered. But I know there was 4.
He did 5.
Okay. And Gordon's right. It just became very sadistic. Very. It's like somebody. To use a story from comic books about Michael Fleischer. He started doing the Spectre series. He got mugged, and so then the criminals started dying in very horrible ways. And it's almost kind of like that with the Death Wish films. But we're not going to discuss that. I'm not going to digress. But yes, I agree with Gordon.
Well,
it doesn't really like these films and then goes to crap later. But I think that's what canon wanted.
Yeah, and just to stick to his 80s work, in Electric Boogaloo, there's an interview with Marina Sirtis. Counselor Troy herself, because she worked with him on The Wicked Lady, and I think it's Death Wish 3. And he was just she just said, oh, he was a bastard. And at one point, she was reputed to have said at a convention, I would never wish anyone dead. I would never speak ill of the dead, but I hope that director is rotting in hell.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, when you've ticked her off.
Wonder if she'll ever talk about what really pissed her, how she really felt.
Yeah, you never hear her say this about Jeremy Brent, because she did do that one episode of the Granada Sherlock Holmes, the Greek interpreter.
And she's not fond of I forget his name, the guy that directed Star Trek Nemesis, but then
Stuart Baird.
Stuart Baird. No one involved with that film. None of the main next gen. We're getting totally off topic here.
Yeah, but let's talk about a good film. Let's talk about The Mechanic, because that is a good film.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. This movie is very well paced. It's very methodically paced. You're right. Just like the original Death Wish, we will cover eventually here on this channel. But this one, it really takes its time. Like you guys said, there's no real dialogue at the beginning. And when you do hear the dialogue, it's very casual. It's also because Keenan Wynn's character, when he's talking to Bronson's character later on, he says, "Oh, can you help me out of this?" Because what you learn is Bronson's character was sort of like a mob advisor. He was like the judge, and when he made a ruling over the mafia, that was the ruling. Huh?
Not Bronson, but his father.
Yeah, sorry, Bronson's father. When he made a ruling over the mob, he was like a judge. That ruling was his word was law. and somebody didn't like the ruling, and they put a hit out on his life and it killed him. And that's what sort of did get Bronson's character into becoming a hitman, a mechanic, if you will. And when Bronson's character kills Keenan Wynn's character in this movie, because here's somebody who not only knew his dad, but knew him when he was a kid. And he talks about how he pulled him out of the water and saved him from drowning. And Bronson's character, when he kills him, he has a panic attack, which I love the way they visualize this in the movie. Really well done. What did you guys think of that? I'm sorry, I went on a tangent there.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Gordon.
I was about to say, I think Keenan Wynn deserved it because he was a jerk. He was like, hey, remember I was a kid and I picked on you? I mean, I'm surprised Bronson didn't just aim the silencer at Keenan's boy bits and just go bang, 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 then and there, you know. But I love the fact that but what Bronson does is he shoots and deliberately misses and says, oh, hey, they're after you. And then once he gets Wynn into the car, he holds his face down to strangle him, because that, I think, really shows how angry he is. You know, Bronson throughout the film is kind of this, is almost a Zen guy, but that's maybe the most angry you see him throughout the film, because he's not squeezing, but I think the fact that he used something personal to kill Wynn, who's basically been saying, ha ha, you know, I picked you up by your hair out of the pool, and you know, and doesn't do the, I'm sure there are times where that character would have been tempted to shoot him then and there, but I think there is that kind of sense of, you know, that's maybe the only time where you can tell that Bronson is taking it personally, and they get it there and they get it out of the way. And so he does have this kind of very neutral tone throughout the movie, which kind of makes sense, because if you have him as like, oh, I'm, you know, it's like it's a very hard tone to get. You usually see it when it's done wrong, and this is where it's done right.
Yeah,
I'm going to offer an alternate viewpoint. I think it started with the story that Keenan Wynn tells. Keenan Wynn is arguably Bronson's mentor. Keenan Wynn, Charles Bronson's, of course, character's father, and Charles Bronson went on a camping fishing trip. Bronson was 8 or 9 years old, falls over, and his dad just sits there. And apparently says to Keenan Wynn, he'll learn to swim soon enough. And then Keenan Wynn finally picks him up, and he's like you say, he's laughing at him. And I'm just like, I think, you know, you're 8, 9 years old. I don't know about you gentlemen's life, but at 8 or 9 years old, if my dad sees me drowning and he does nothing, I'm going to harbor some resentment against dad. And Wynn comes off, at least to me, a little more as mentorish. And when Bronson's character gets the kill order for Keenan Wynn, Keenan Wynn's character has a weak heart, so he makes him, like you said, he shoots at him, and he's like shooting him, he's running, and he gets to a cart. Now I didn't catch the strength. I thought he's, and one of the things I really liked, Keenan Wynn was just like, oh, it's you, we'll finish it. You know, it's not like, you know, screw you and go.
Yeah. And I think there's enough there where, you know, with the way it's framed, the way Bronson does it, it's not like he's aggressively like pushing it down, but I think he knows, okay, if I do this, he'll go peacefully rather than just shooting with a couple of bullets.
Went in and was trying. I didn't think he was strangling. I thought he was trying to.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. He's doing that to kind of stifle him. So
I thought you were meaning, and I was like, I didn't catch that. But also,
yeah, I should have explained that better.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. While Joel's gone, I'll go over some quick points. For anybody who wants to watch this, it's on Tubi and it's free. Thank God for Tubi. And thanks to my college art class, I recognized that painting right away as a Hieronymus Bosch painting, the one in Bishop's house that he keeps staring at. And the title of it is The Garden of Earthly Delights. And if you're not familiar with Hieronymus Bosch's paintings, and that's Bosch, B-O-S-C-H, you should look them up. once you've seen a few, you'll always recognize them. And Joel's back, so I'll let him take over.
Yeah, we discussed. We've just finished with the whole movie discussion, Joel. We've discussed every single plot point.
There's literally nothing for you to talk about, Joel.
Yeah,
we've covered everything. Everything.
Yeah, we even threw in a gratuitous reference to pro wrestling, just because we needed that.
Yeah. Okay, so with this movie, what did you guys think of Jan Michael Vincent's character?
Jordan?
I think it's funny how he I think he plays it very well, because you see him kind of coming in as like this kind of, oh, you must lead a cool life. I'd like to learn about it. And even when you see the inevitable betrayal at the end, you kind of get the sense it doesn't do this, oh, hey, I think you're great, and aha, I'm turning the tables on you. You kind of see where not only does Vincent kind of be led along this life, and you see this relationship brew between he and Bronson, but when the end comes, yes, you can see where it's coming from, but there's also an additional twist where you go, okay, well, yeah, Vincent is not as clever as he thinks he is. But I love how he's the right level of snide. He's the right level of, he's not snide enough where you want him to die. But he's snide enough where it's like, Bronson just, backhand him or something. It's like, listen, listen, punk. I floss chunks of fools like you out of my teeth, okay? Knock off the attitude. But he doesn't. There's this great little, I don't want to say it's father-son. It's more like mentor-mentee. So it's kind of like what you could see where the Keenan Wynn character's influence is on Bronson.
Would you say lover to lover?
I don't know if I would, but I know there's some people who might read it that. I don't, but it's not there. I just don't see it, if that makes sense.
Well, I agree with everything you said. Jan Michael Vincent plays the role great. He's snidey without being enough snidey and all that. I did something with this film, Joel, that I've never done with a film that we recorded. I watched it twice this week because I read something. Number one, I like the film. It's a great film. Number two, after I read this quote, I went back and watched it again. And in the original script, the relationship between Bishop and McKenna, which is Jan Michael Vincent's character, was explicitly homosexual. Producers had a difficult time securing financing, and several actors, including George C. Scott, refused to even consider the script until the homosexuality was removed. This prompted the screenwriter to call the film, quote, one of the greatest disappointments, end quote, of his life. So I went back and watched it, and I kept thinking there was just something that was like for lack of a better term, a connection between those two that I just felt was odd. And after reading that and watching it, that's what there's still hints of them being, at least attracted to each other. And I still feel like the scene with Jill Ireland, Charles Bronson's wife, where she plays a prostitute, was thrown in just to no, he's heterosexual. Have I mentioned I'm heterosexual lately? But after reading that and then watching the film again, I'm like, that's what it is. It's not, overt, it's not in your face, but once you see that and you watch it and you're like, yeah, okay, because they fell in together. I get it. They come from the similar background. Their fathers are big high men in the mafia or the business. And so, yeah, they do have a common background. They do have common interests. But after that, it's just like, okay, that's where the connection comes in at.
To your point, too, when you watch a really key scene to sort of what you're saying, I think, in my opinion, from an attraction level, go watch that party. If you watch it back again, by any chance, this is a great movie. Watch that party scene at Jan Michael Vincent's character's dad's house, and they're in that room with that girl who's like who's got that robe covering her chest, and she slit her wrist.
Oh yeah, well that's actually after the party, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, Bronson is watching her, but he's watching him too, and it's sort of like, I don't know. To me, it sort of comes off like there could be an attraction there, in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong.
And that there is where Jan Michael Vincent utters possibly the best line in the whole film. And I wished I'd wrote it down and I didn't, but he says something along the lines to the chick who's she's like trying to guilt him into something because I guess she wants to have a relationship and he doesn't, and she slashed her wrist, and he's like, if your life doesn't mean anything to you, why should it mean anything to me? And it's just like, wow. Yeah. Wow, that's a strong line.
He gives her keys.
If you hurt, you can move to the sheriff's office.
Bro, seriously. But Bronson's character takes Jan Michael Vincent's character under his wing and slowly teaches him how to be a mechanic, teaches him how to kill, work a shotgun, shoot it. And I love the dialogue when Bronson's character says they want me to cowboy somebody, and Jan Michael Vincent's character's like, explain that. I don't, because he doesn't know. It's something that Bronson's character probably didn't think he'd have to explain, but now he does. And I just love their dynamic together. Their chemistry was really, really great in this film. What did you guys think of it?
Agreed.
Yeah, I love the cowboy reference, and I'm glad Patrick isn't here to make one of his usual witty retorts, because it would probably be slightly off color and inappropriate. But I also like that my favorite scene is the one where they're shooting skeets, and Bronson saying, it's here's this rifle, it's so many grains, it's so many this, and he's like teaching him how to like shoot and make an extension of your arm, because it's also a way for them to kind of start bonding. So it's not just, it's where you kind of see the bromance begin, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
They had a real, almost a Batman and Robin feel for that first little bit when they're starting the mentor-mentee program, if you will. It's okay. This is how you do it, and this is no, you're doing it wrong. Like you said, use the shotgun like it's part of your arm, and like I said, you've got these guys from a common background. And now Arthur Bishop / Charles Bronson is teaching Steve McKenna / Jan Michael Vincent how to be a mechanic. And some of the best lines is when Jan Michael Vincent is trying to find out about Arthur Bishop, and Arthur's like, "Oh, I didn't say that. Why did you? And it's this cool little interplay between them because, think about it. Charles Bronson's character, Arthur Bishop, lives a very solitary life.
Yeah.
He has to pay for a prostitute to play the girlfriend experience. But think about it. It'd be kind of hard to be married. Imagine, Joel, you're an assassin and you have to keep lying to Julie. Oh, well, I've got a job over in Nashville, Tennessee for a week. I got to go do this. I mean, maybe nowadays you could get away with that better. And I don't mean lying to your wife, but, my mother-in-law works for hospitals about getting them their certifications. So she'll go to this hospital for a while. She'll go to that hospital. So yeah, nowadays I feel like that would be easier to get away with. Whereas back then, like, what do you mean you're not going to work to this place here?
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow I think I can see Jewel turning to Julie and saying, I'm gonna go ahead to Philadelphia to ice a few bozos. You stay home, have the meatloaf ready when I come back. I'm gonna borrow the shovel because I got to dig some shallow graves. So I could see Jewel being straightforward, but yeah, I can see that kind of if they had the vocabulary for it, I'm sure that they would have established Joe Ireland as more of a friend with benefits, kind of a, And obviously she's there to be the, we don't want to make this too man friendly, if you know what I mean. But I think even without her, like, I can see where that subtext could be read. But I also think I think she also serves as a way to say that, like, this is a guy who's relatively alone, because she's like the only contact we has, and it ain't much. It's not even much of a contact. It's like a hit it and quit it situation, basically.
After he has this panic attack at the aquarium, and he goes to the hospital. Living relatives, none. Acquaintances, none. Anybody want us to go? Can I go? I mean, that's a very important but easily overlooked scene showing he ain't got nobody.
Yeah,
it's him, and that's one of the reasons you see him. Make sure my camera, take Jan Michael Vincent, no pun intended, under his wing, because, like he said, I mean, there's a point where Jan Michael Vincent even says. Talks about him, I think you just wanted somebody to not to talk to. I forget exactly how he phrases it, but I mean, think about it. I was thinking, it's almost like he's a superhero and he can't tell nobody that he's a superhero. So he starts in his sidekick, if you will, to eventually take over the role.
There's sort of like the duality of being alone with this job, because he's been alone all this time. He's been on his own, and having that panic attack most likely set things a lot for him in perspective of when he was, like you said, when he was saying, who's your, none. Crazy. Guys, I'll be right back. I gotta go check on my son.
Okay. Well, we'll wait here.
Yeah, we're good.
Let's see, a little bit of trivia. That's, as we talked about, that's Charles Bronson's wife, Joe Ireland, playing the prostitute. Apparently, he told them if they didn't hire her, he wouldn't do the movie. So I guess that's one way. And she's in one scene. It's like, okay, I guess you really want to work.
Was probably the okay. Yeah, well, we need this scene because we think the script is a little too outre. We need a female love interest. And Bronson say, listen,
I've got the perfect
hire my wife, and I'll pay you in bourbon.
At the beginning, when Bronson is walking down, when I was a kid, I thought it was New York. Turns out it's the, if you will, the east side of Los Angeles. When he's doing setting up that first job, as he's walking up the steps, there's a few music cues that make me think of Dawn of the Dead from 1978. So I wonder if possibly those are from the same stock music that George Romero chose from, because there's just a few cues. It's just like, that sounds a little too close to that. Well, Joel's back, but he's muted.
What's you guys' favorite scene?
The skeet shooting scene.
Yeah, the skeet.
I should have thought of that. I'm out of practice with Joel in my favorite scene.
Yeah, you could just say there's no good. They're all good scenes. I mean, if you think about it, this is a really economic movie.
It is very economic. I'm going to go with it's multiple scenes, I guess, but the whole opening setup and killing of the gentleman in the hotel, I think's amazing. I mean, amazingly done, very well done. It draws you, like Gordon said, right away. You see this and you realize what you're going to get from this film, and it's not going to necessarily just spoon feed it to you. I mean, you're going to have to pay attention to catch on, and like we've said, there's no dialogue. But it keeps your attention. That's something that I feel like it can't be stressed enough. Imagine 16 minutes of a film with no dialogue, but you're still like, what's going on? Okay, now what's he going to do?
Yeah. My favorite scene is the motorcycle, the dirt bike chase scene. Really, really great scene. Just pure. It's a pure fun scene. So,
Daddy, every year this city gets worse.
ow, ow. Every year. Oh my god. Think about where you live, sweetie. Think about where you live. There's a difference between living in the city and living in a secluded area, like living in the mountains. Just saying.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Chicago. It's actually now become more of a national joke, but like there are people in the far suburbs who do not live in Chicago. So if you were to say, like if you ask me where I live in Chicago, my neighborhood is Archer Heights. Big deal. There are some people in the suburbs who think, well, we're in Chicago. It's like, well, okay, what neighborhood are you from? No, I'm from Chicago. No, really, what neighborhood are you from? Well, I'm from Chicagoland. There's no such place. Where do you live? Schaumburg or Naperville. And if you look on a map, here's Chicago, here's Naperville, and here's Schaumburg. Like 3 completely different cities. So stop it, suburbanites. I'm talking to you. Unless you're in the city of Chicago, you are not Chicago.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
Gordon gets dressed up in black and goes out at night with a 45 and takes care of all criminals. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, that's Joel. You better watch it, Joel, because remember, I know people. I'm connected.
You never know.
I know you like to laugh about this, Joel, but you once told Patrick you were 2 states away. I'm 3 states away. I know people. Let's just say one morning you might be gone and Julie will turn over and she'll be sleeping next to a big, large duffel bag full of unmarked bills. That's all I'm saying.
You really underestimate my wife. She wouldn't realize I'm gone. She'd be the one who dug the hole.
She'd be like, excuse me, sir.
And I pay for the lawyer.
Trust me, my husband won't be using them anytime soon.
No, none of that. But yeah, this is a great movie. It just from beginning to end. We don't get films like this anymore, it feels like.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I want to bring something up.
Sure.
The remake.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen the remake.
I've seen
I know it's out there, but I haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
It's not bad. I feel like this is a much lower budget film, but I feel like it's the better film. And I'm not trying to I like Jason Statham. It tells essentially the same story. Yeah. It's a little more moderned up. And for me, that loses some of the charm of it. There's just a we've with the rise of Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Bond, we've got the lines, the quips, the cool mojo, and that's not this kind of film. Whereas not that Jason Statham's like, ooh, I guess he got the point. He's not doing. I'm not going to do a bad Jason Statham impersonation because I can't. But it's very slick. But it does do something that I have always felt like, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. As the film goes on, Bronson's character goes looking for John Michael Vincent's, finds his hit folder with his information at John Michael Vincent's place. So he knows he's a target. Now, they go on a final job, and per the film, Jan Michael Vincent poisons Bronson and goes back to his house. Basically, I get the feeling he thinks he's going to live there, going to take it over, and he gets into his sports car, and there's a note saying, "Oh, as soon as you open this, it started a timer. That's it," and the car blows up. Do you excuse me? Do you think Charles Bronson died from that poison? His character, Arthur Bishop. Did Arthur Bishop die in Italy from the poison?
I would.
Well, I think it's a little suspicious because he's sniffing the glass before he drinks it. Because usually, if you smell something unusual, like I could see, he might have like mimed a sip. So I could see where, and just the way he falls is like his eyes are staring straight out. I think he was. I think he's kind of like, okay, yeah, I knew this kid's in for me, so I'll do this. I'll fake my death. He goes in, the kid gets blown up. So I could see Bronson kind of pulling a fast one on him.
Joel?
Yeah, I could too. It's really the ending of this movie is one of the strangest endings to a Bronson movie, and Stone Killer has a strange ending too, by the way. But this one more so because Bronson knows that this guy that Jan Michael Vincent's character is out to kill him, and he's not. And I don't think he's underestimating him. I don't think he forgets about it at all because it's too short of a time to forget about it. He sniffed, like you said, he sniffs the glass before he even takes a drink. So it's like, I think he just and sold being poisoned. And the Jan Michael Vincent, though he had some hits under his belt, they weren't many. He was a very inexperienced mechanic. You know, I think the difference between Bronson's mechanic and Jan Michael Vincent is Bronson would have checked a pulse. He would have checked for a pulse, and I think that's something.
And something to also consider. Bronson is using firearms and more direct methods of killing somebody. He's using bombs. He's doing things where he's kind of willing to get his hands dirty, metaphorically speaking. Poisoning someone is such an indirect passive aggressive move. I mean, everyone knows if you're going to kill someone, if you read enough crime fiction like I have, you see enough Charles Bronson movies, you know, okay, if you want to be nowhere near the scene, you bomb them. If you want something where you can justify a crime of passion, you shoot them or you stab them. If you want to get really hands-on and you're angry, you choke them. But poisoning someone is just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and you're hoping for a lot. And Bronson's mechanic, Bishop is basically you do what you need to do to get the job done. There's no muss, no fuss, no, he could have, again, when you see Keenan and Wynn, yeah, he scares them, but then he puts the hand over the mouth and it's over. And all the kills are essentially very simple. Poisoning someone is such a, excuse my language, is such a douchebag move.
I agree. The remake is much more obvious about this. They don't use poison, but you're led to believe that Arthur Bishop has passed, and again his mentee shows up, and I think there's a point where he tells him, don't ever start my car. And so what does the guy do? He goes back and he starts, and basically the same thing. There's a note hanging down, boom, you're dead. And you see Jason Statham like looking around the corner, and you're like, how'd that work out for you? But yeah, I've always thought that Bronson knew it was coming. And I agree with everything. He does his big death scene. Then he kills Jan Michael Vincent's character. And that is the perfect way to leave that life. Because you've been reported dead. And unfortunately, the only person that can report it now is dead.
Yeah.
So I like to believe Arthur Bishop called up his prostitute friend and said, hey, let's go live in Maui. And they lived over there many years and died a happy man.
I mean, it's Joe Ireland who wasn't. Oh my God. Is there anything you guys want to add about the mechanic before we get on out of here?
I'm really glad I saw this movie. It's a really surprising, when there were a lot of, the early 70s was, you really had to sort through to get really good action movies, because a lot of them were either just They're either really excellent or really bad. And this is one that I like. It hits a great middle tone because it's as much about Bronson and Jan Michael Vincent as it is about slam bang action.
Yeah, it is. It's it moves well. I was one of the last notes I have here was the director was called very pedestrian in this film. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is perfect. It keeps your attention. The movie keeps going. Charles Bronson gets to act.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Charles Bronson gets to act, and that's not something you see, especially in about 3 years from this film in his career, when he got pigeonholed into Death Wish, which is unfortunate because I liked the first one. I think it's a good film, and much like the first Dirty Harry film. And what people remember about both of those sets of films is not what I remember. Yes, that's what they become, but there's the first two films. I'll throw in another one, First Blood, the first Rambo. That's not what you think it is, and it may not even be what you remember if it's been a while since you watched it. And it really is a shame that Charles Bronson is just known, especially for the later Death Wishes, which, like Gordon said, I mean, Cannon got into that groove with Chuck Norris and those type of films. And not that those are bad films. I'm not trying to knock them, but they were very formulaic. They were the cinematic equivalent of an AC/DC album. Have you heard one AC/DC album? You've heard all of them. Have you seen a couple of Cannon films? You've seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
You might enjoy certain things about them. I'm not, again, I'm not making millions of dollars making films, so but on me. But this is a ridiculously underappreciated film, and like I said, it's on Tubi, Tubi. If you've not seen it, it's like I think it's an hour and 42 minutes,
which is great.
42 minutes, and it's not 150 miles, but it moves, it flows well. I don't know if as they say, the kids would like it today, because it's probably not fast enough and slick enough. But
it's not 3 hours long, and there's not a lot of lore to it. You're not going to get the spin-off streaming service involving the Jill Ireland character and her adventures,
or what how Keenan Wynn grew up in the mafia or whatever.
Right.
And you're like, why are you making a film about this person? Anyway, good film. Definitely worth checking out. I mean, is it a great film? I would argue it's very good. Very entertaining, hour and 42 minutes.
It's a Saturday or Sunday afternoon film.
Yeah, right. It's a really fun watch.
For me, a Saturday afternoon film is somewhere between a C and a B. And I'd actually just a little bit higher. And not those are bad films, but like, God, I can't think of anything at the moment. But, you watch a film on a Saturday afternoon, and you don't really remember it again after that.
Okay. And like for me, it's just about, it's when you just sit and you just casually watch. You don't need to really you don't have to be like, oh my God, it's the latest MCU, whatever. Or it's not like, oh, it's so bad it's good. It's you can sit and watch it and enjoy it. That's where I'm coming from with Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Agreed.
I got to tell you, Butch, I showed my nephew High Plains Drifter today.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He went home because you know what happens with Clint Eastwood's character and the woman in the barn and stuff. He goes home and tells his mother, which is my wife's sister. And she calls me, what the hell did you show my son? And I'm like, a good fucking movie. Good night.
Yeah, actually, there've been like there's been 3 movies that my dad. Well, 2 movies I did to con my dad into, and one that was he just decided to go ahead and show me. The first was Blazing Saddles because it was re-released when I was like 8 years old. Mom wouldn't let me go. He took me. I ended up grounded. Best year of my life. The second was I'd pushed him to take me to see Alien, and he ended up taking me and Mom. Like within 2 weeks after he had seen it with my uncle. And then he took me to see it, me and Mom to see it. And when the thing came, I was like, hey, Dad, you want to see the thing? Yeah, whatever. you know, because a week before I had seen E.T. at the local like second run theater, and I thought it was garbage. But the thing was like, yeah, I'm doing this, but it's a much better film.
Agree. I so wish the thing had been released before E.T., maybe about 3 weeks before, and it started steamrolling. And you know, I'm not hating on E.T., but let's put it this way: I saw E.T. in the theater. I've never seen it since.
Yeah,
I don't
neither have I.
The Thing, I probably watch it once a year.
Yeah, yeah. The ET's like, it's okay, it's okay. The Thing.
But you know why The Thing is so great? Wilfred Brimley. Remember that, Jewel.
Yeah.
Remember that from our Destroyer review.
And Rob Bottin.
And Rob Bottin.
Yes.
And practical special effects.
Well, I think we did John Carpenter's The Thing on here, but we'll have to do it again for a revisited tour with the four of us, with all four of us.
Okay.
Definitely for sure. But Butch, do you want to pick a movie for next week or?
I'll be able to do every other week, Joel.
Okay, sorry.
Because I'm still running Deadlands on alternate weeks, so
okay, cool.
We're doing it online, and it's just I've got to upload stuff and get everything ready. So I can't be back in 2 weeks, but one thing we need to do, and I'm not throwing this out, but I'm warning you in the future. I think we need to do a compare and contrast of that John Wayne's The Alamo with Billy Bob Thornton's The Alamo, but that's not what I'm going to throw out. Clue.
Okay.
Gordon, have you seen Clue?
Yes, I have.
I would be honored if you would join us for that.
You know what? I will make a point. Let's see, the week after, would that be the 15th?
Right around there, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I won't be available next week.
Okay. That makes sense.
My birthday is the 6th, but on the 8th I'll be hijacking an event with belly dancers and fire spinners and performers, and it will be a spectacle of Patrick McRae-esque proportions, and I'll just leave that there.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, Gordon. I do have one question with both of you guys before you guys go. On the Mechanic remake, were you guys consulting advisors for how to get it done?
I can neither confirm nor deny these events of which I may or may not have been a part.
Upon advice of legal counsel, I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that it may incriminate me.
Well played, well played. Gentlemen, it is always a pleasure, as always. Hopefully in 2 weeks we'll get Patrick on here with us too. Good night, guys.
Good night, all.
See you, Gordon.
See ya.